Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Rise the Podcast. As always, thank you so much for joining me again for another soulful conversation and opportunity to get closer to your highest self. In today's Side Notes episode, I'm going to dive deeper into my own morning and night routines. In our last episode, I shared with you all the science behind why routines are so important and gave you some ways to perfect your daily rituals. And today I'm going to share with you just how I have created morning and night routines that I love and how they've evolved over the years and changed with different seasons of life. The flexibility in routines is really what makes them sustainable, so I hope this is helpful for you, and let's dive into them. So I wanted to share more about how my routines have evolved over the years, and I really do change them depending on different seasons of life, and I allow myself to switch when something isn't working anymore, and I think that is so important. Like I said in the last episode, this is not just about getting another to-do list done or trying to look productive. We are trying to find things that actually serve a purpose and make us feel good. So it is really important to be aware of what's working in your routines and what is not, and be able to adjust as needed. Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it, and it's not really going to give you any benefit. And while I have had different iterations of my routines over the years, my morning routine has always been pretty lengthy. To be fair, I like to give myself plenty of time in the morning. We are just waking up. I'm sleepy. Sometimes it's dark outside. And I know if I only give myself maybe the exact time that it would take to do my routine, I'm not going to be able to get it all done. Like, there are days when I sit down to do my gratitude that it takes me 5 minutes because my brain is just like moving so slowly. So I think that's also a really important tip, is to give yourself more time than what it actually takes so that you can move through it at your own pace and at ease, instead of feeling rushed and like, oh, I need to get this, and this done. Just allow yourself to flow a little bit. So I would say currently I wake up about 2 hours before I have to start getting ready for work. And I would say on average, I like to give myself like 1 to 2 hours to do my morning routine in the morning. Like I said, I want to take it slow. I don't want to be rushed. And I also want to give myself time within that routine to decide what I want to do next. I might change up what I do from one day to the next day, and giving myself that space to kind of check in with how I'm feeling allows me to make those adjustments. So I'll share with you what my current routine is, and then add in some of the stuff that I will like to substitute, and then some of the stuff that I've done in the past that maybe I'm not currently doing, but I might add in the future. So right now I wake up and I do not go on my phone, which is something that I talked more in depth about in our last episode. I have a sunset alarm clock, so I will allow myself to snooze it. I am a snooze person, so I'm waking up at whatever time after snoozing it, who knows how many times. And I also set an alarm on my phone, so I will turn that alarm off. I keep my phone on do not disturb, so I don't look at any of the notifications. I put my phone down and I get up. It has made such a difference in the calmness I feel in the morning when I do not look at my phone. And I think people sometimes struggle with this because they're like, well, what if something like really important or really urgent happened overnight? But my point to you is that you carved out this space for your morning routine, where otherwise, if you didn't have that time carved out, you would be waking up X amount of time later, right? So if I didn't do my morning routine, I would be waking up at 8 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. So you actually would have missed that notification period either way. So that's why you're really not missing anything if you don't check your phone first thing in the morning. Trust me, just do it. It will change the game for you. It just doesn't invite all of that stress into your bedroom, and I think it is so important. So after I wake up, I come upstairs and I make a matcha. So I have switched within 2025 from coffee to matcha in the morning, which I also think has made the biggest difference. Combining matcha with no phone in the morning, I have zero anxiety when I wake up. I have found that the caffeine buzz and whatever that comes from coffee genuinely like gives me some amount of anxiety. Like I'm just a little bit more on edge. Whereas with matcha, it's that slow caffeination, and it's really allowing me to naturally wake up and also not be so dependent on caffeine right when I get up in the morning. I found it really works for me. I would highly suggest it. But after that, I'll go into my room and I start off by reading a book. So I'll read about a chapter or so of a personal development or spirituality book. I love this because it's my dedicated time to soak up that information, and it allows me to get that done first thing in the morning instead of having that as a task that I'm just going to push off at the end of the day. And like I said, your brain is really programmable in the morning. So I feel like I'm really soaking up that information and it's getting deep into my neural networks. After I read, I will then move into my kind of mindfulness section. So here I usually jump into EFT tapping. If you are not familiar with EFT tapping, you need to look into it. It will change your life. I follow Tap with Brad on YouTube, so I will follow one of his tapping videos for whatever I feel like would be most beneficial to me at that time. And then depending how I feel afterwards, I'll sometimes do another tapping video, or I'll jump into just a short meditation. I am someone who is always trying to make meditation more a part of my daily routine, but as I've said before, I will never force a routine on myself, and I will never force myself to do something because I feel like you lose so much benefit of it when it's not something that you just naturally jump into. And meditation is definitely one of those for me. If I force myself to meditate, my mind is going to be everywhere but on that meditation. So I really only do it when I'm feeling called to. But I will just look up one on YouTube. I love a Joe Dispenza guided meditation, the best. I'll do one of those, and then I'll usually move into some sort of manifestation. So if I do a meditation, I will often visualize within that. Visualization is one of my favorite manifestation techniques. So I will visualize whatever I'm trying to call in. I can do a whole podcast episode about that, or I'll do something like scripting or gratitude or affirmations, just something to get myself focused on what I'm trying to bring into my life. As I said, we're programmable. We want to focus on the things that we do want. So I love using my mornings as a time to manifest as well. I really couldn't imagine like trying to visualize or script at any other point in the day. I'm just so calm, so relaxed, and no one has had a chance to touch my energy in the morning, and that's why it's the best time for me to do that. After I do all of that, I then will move into doing my whiteboard. So on my whiteboard, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 goals for the day, and an affirmation. It is such a quick way to ground myself in gratitude, make intentions and goals for the day, and then write an affirmation to kind of get me sorted. I love it. I've been doing it for years, and that is a non-negotiable in my morning routine. After I do that, I will then pray. I've talked about before how I have really come to fall in love with prayer. It is just my time with God, the universe, everything, to again just speak those intentions out. I say my gratitude out loud. I pray for someone else, and it is probably my favorite part of the morning. I always just feel a lot better afterwards, and then I'm all done. I'll get ready for the day and I'll go to work. And so things like the meditation, the scripting, the visualization, those I would say are kind of those add-ins or substitutes that have changed over the years. There have been times where I was super consistent with meditating and I was doing that every morning. There have been times where I was super consistent with scripting, where I was either writing a script or reading a script every morning. And those are things that I really just like to sub in and out depending how I'm feeling that day or in that season of life. There are things that maybe I don't necessarily feel called to do every single day, but they're always there as an option if I need them. And obviously, I am human. So do I stick to this 2-hour routine every day? No, I don't. I'll spoil it for you right now. No, I don't. But I have non-negotiables in my morning routine that I absolutely will not skip during the week because I know what a difference it makes. I will say ever since I have started doing a routine, which I probably began this in like 2020, I notice an entire difference in how I show up in the world, how I feel, how my energy is, how I react and interact with other people if I do some of my morning routine versus if I don't. And truly, like, being in the working world and going to work with other people, I could not imagine showing up to work without deciding the energy that I wanted beforehand. Your morning is so sacred and so precious and gives you the ability to truly cultivate and protect your energy. And I just like simply could not imagine going to work without doing that and just like allowing everybody else to like chirp in my ear. No. But with that being said, there are days that I'm more tired than others. There are days where I feel like I do need that extra hour of sleep, and I'm always going to prioritize how I feel. And that's why your routine should be flexible and adaptable. But my two non-negotiables are doing my whiteboard and praying. I will not skip a weekday without doing those things. Combined, they can literally take 5 minutes if I want them to. I can make them take longer if I would like. But it is so important to me to do those things and to really show up for myself, show up and decide the energy that I want, create intentions for the day, and always speak to God. That's what I want to do. That's non-negotiable for me. But I would recommend, if you are creating a morning routine, have something in there that is a like solid promise to yourself that you can keep every day. If it's something that takes 2 minutes, make it that. Like, you have to have something that you can come back to every day and is kind of just a really good check-in for yourself and a really good way to organize your day. Because not only do I notice the difference on the days that I do my routine versus the days that I don't, but I do feel some sort of guilt on the days that I don't do anything. There have been days that I just haven't done a routine at all, and I feel kind of guilty and just off. So I think once you get really consistent with your routine, you're going to find, okay, this is what I want to do every day, no matter what, and then I would recommend sticking with that. And I also wanted to add that I don't do my morning routine on the weekends. I give myself the weekends off because I'm just always doing something different. I want to sleep in, and I just like having that time to do what I want to do. I may do some form of my morning routine on the weekends, but it's not that full-blown routine that I have during the week. And I also feel like it's just because I'm doing stuff I like enjoy on the weekends. I'm either relaxing or with my friends, and I don't need to like check my energy as much as I do during a work week. So that's what I've just found works for me. And that's what I mean with giving yourself flexibility and grace and being able to adapt is I don't have to do my morning routine on the weekend. Like, I can give myself a break, I can give myself time off, and that's just what I found works for me. And moving into night routines, this area has actually been pretty hard for me. I, as you can tell, am obsessed with morning routines, but night routines are harder for me because I'm always doing something different after work or at night. Whereas in the morning, I'm always waking up in my bed and I always have the opportunity to do the same thing. That's not true of every night. I'm not going to bed at the same time every night. I'm not doing the same activities. Some days I'm doing nothing. Some days I'm doing like everything and I'm out late. So it has been hard for me to really get into a night routine because of that, but I've worked on it, and where I'm currently at is reading, no phone, and mental gratitude. So obviously we're doing no phone like before bed, but it's not, I've heard people say, don't go on your phone 30 minutes before bed. That's probably just not realistic for me. What I do is I get a different book. So in the morning, we're reading something educational and inspirational. At night, I'm reading something light and fun, a little novel, a little poetry book, something like that. I'm grabbing my book, I'm putting my phone on do not disturb, and however long I want to read is the amount of time that I'm not going on my phone before bed. So it's not as like stringent as it is in the morning, but it is carving that intentional time to say, this screen is not going to be the last thing I see before I close my eyes. And as I talked about in the other episode, I've really found that reading before bed helps me fall asleep faster, stay stay asleep longer, and just overall, I like having that intentional time for myself as well. It's not the same as, sometimes I'll read for like 30 minutes in the morning, and before bed, I'm maybe gonna read for like 10. But again, it is about the intention. It's not about the time. It's not about the productivity. It's not about what it looks like. It is about how it feels for you. And that's just what feels good for me. And then I also will kind of mentally review my day, go over any gratitude points and just really be thankful, and also try to set some intentions and just think about what I would like to accomplish the next day. But that is truly it for my night routine. I think that the morning is the most important part, and that is what I like to focus on. But I like having some semblance of some rituals I like to do before bed, and mostly just making sure that I'm not on my phone. I feel like that's the biggest one for me. And I share this because I don't want anyone to think that their routines have to be so lengthy and complicated like my morning one is. It truly is about what works for you and what feels good. And if 10 minutes is what you have to dedicate to yourself, that is a ritual right there. If you show up for yourself for 10 minutes every day, that is perfect. And that is what I've found works for me for nighttime. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. And as I'll continue to say, mostly my morning routine has been such a steady part of my life over the years that I cannot imagine my life without it. And I just want to inspire you all to find what lights you up in the morning and what you can do to decide how you want to show up in the world and create that time for yourself. It seriously is so sacred to have those moments in the morning and before bed that no one else is there with you, that you get to decide how you want to feel, how you want to show up in the world, the kind of person you want to be, and really align yourself with the version of you that you're trying to become. There are so many parts of our day in between the morning and night that we cannot control, and having those moments that are just for you and totally within your control brings you so much power, brings you so much intention, so much love, and so much care. And I really can't recommend enough finding something that you love to do every day and allowing yourself to do it. Maybe you want to draw every morning, or maybe you want to dance around your room, or maybe you want to do a workout. Like whatever it is that feels good for you, please do it and notice how you feel on the days that you don't. And I promise that's exactly what's going to keep you coming back. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about my routines and why I think they are so important. I should maybe do a TED Talk on routines because I think that they are absolutely everything. But I just thank you as always for being here and listening to me and following along on my journey. It means so much. Please don't forget to check the description for links to my socials and more of me. And I can't wait to talk to you in the next episode. Sending you so much love and light.